And knowledge is learnt at the feet of scholars. Yeah, if you guys are doing podcasts and you're talking about Islamic matters, stick to the basics and leave it to the scholars
100%.
because they're the inheritors of the prophets. The countless debates, the time wasted by people on debating on trivial matters, but there's bigger issues in the communities. The biggest thing we can do is call for unity. Any scholar, I've always said, any person that divides the Muslims or is just there to cause fitna in the Muslims, stay away from them. I would never go. I've always told that when you were younger. I said, stay away from the people who cause division in the Muslims, because this is not our way. And even the Quran says, hold on to the rope of Allah and do not be divided amongst yourselves. It's quite sad to see that those that can bring peace are not bringing peace to the world, yet they claim to be the peacemakers. Is there freedom of speech in the West? Not as it used to be. Can you say anything you want to say? Not really. Any person who's been to Hajj, you ask them, they will not be able to describe it.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, welcome back to the Mountain Path podcast. Today I've got a guest on. Obviously I'm trying to get more guests on, so I thought I'll start with someone close to me, my dad. Assalamu alaikum. How you doing?
Walaikum salam, I'm okay. Can't get closer than me.
No, so obviously the plan was to get more guests on for the podcast. Obviously everyone's been asking me, you're doing a podcast, but it's just yourself, so I thought I'll get my dad on to begin with and then I can get other people on. So what should we talk about? We're going to start with a quick fire round, just have an icebreaker.
Yeah, sure.
Because obviously we actually did this podcast and this idea was a bit, out of the blue, random. So there's not really a topic in mind. It's just a way to introduce my dad to the channel. So I've got some questions for you.
Okay.
If you were stuck on a desert, you could take 3 items with you. What would you take? But you can't say human, just 3 items.
The Quran.
Okay.
A prayer mat.
Yep. Phone.
And phone, yeah.
Can you tell us about a dream job you had as a child growing up?
My radio was when I worked in the BBC and different radio stations. Have always been a bit of my passion, really. I loved radio hosting.
If you could suddenly master any skill, what would it be? So let's imagine you wake up tomorrow and you're a master at something. Any skill in the world you choose.
Kung Fu. Seriously. I loved Bruce Lee when I was a kid.
Childhood memory, please. Tell us about childhood memory.
A lot of good memories, especially because I was born in Pakistan. So up to the age of 7 I stayed in Pakistan. So we had a lot of good memories. Natural life.
Yeah.
Playing in moonlit evenings. Growing up in a village. Going to the school. And just growing up in a very natural, homely environment back in the day when families were families and relatives were relatives and everything was more genuine and all organic food and it was just a natural life, no electricity, and none of these fast food or nothing existed like that. Even soft drinks that you have now, there was nothing like that.
Is there still something in your life that you hope to accomplish?
I want to travel.
Yeah,
travel, especially in the Muslim world.
As you can see, he's got his Moroccan top on. He just came back from Morocco, how long ago? A couple of weeks ago he came back.
2 weeks ago. And one thing I do like about them, that they do preserve their culture, especially the Berber tribes towards the Atlas Mountains. And they're very proud people, and they showcase their culture to the thousands of tourists that go there from across Europe, especially from France and Germany, because they speak French there, so that's more affluent. But that's really good of them to show how they lived back in the day, but they still showcase that, which I think other countries can learn from, especially like true. Pakistan could learn a lot from their tourism industry, especially the desert. I love going and sitting in the desert mountains, and there's something about the deserts that very, very, very powerful.
Very powerful. Do you have any regrets in life?
Many, too many.
Go on, give us one.
Yeah, especially I think seeking knowledge, Islamic knowledge. I know I used to be really active and really read so much, and I've stopped reading, which I do regret. And
this is something I always tell you though.
Yeah, you do.
As a kid, my memory with my dad is him telling me to go crossroad to the shop to get his 50p Jangi newspaper. He would read he would read newspaper after newspaper, and I'm talking like not even the main headlines. I'm on about even every section of the paper. He'd cover it all. So anything I ask him, mashallah, he knows so much about different cultures, different information. Like you could bring up anything, and he'll know. That's just a credit to his reading.
Yeah, I used to read a lot.
And I think when phones got introduced, I think that's when he started.
Yeah, I think these phones have made us lazy.
Yeah.
They've given us. We want quick information now. Yeah. Now you look at how popular YouTube was, but the videos were longer, and now they're getting shorter. Now TikTok is more popular.
Exactly.
Why? Because people don't have that concentration span.
It's that attention span.
Yeah. So we can't keep attention. And if I see a video, slightly 10-15 minutes long, if I'm not interested, I'll just see a couple of minutes. And this is not a good thing. This is not good for the human race that we're becoming so our concentration is becoming less and less. This is not good for your memory. It's not good for your knowledge seeking, because you only pick up what you want to pick up. But social media now has become so powerful, because I've always worked in media, radio in particular. I did a bit of TV work, but radio. And I loved radio, but now social media, podcasts like you youngsters are doing, there's only two reasons for media: accountability and remaining impartial. Now, which mainstream media in this day and age, when we were growing up, we would listen to the BBC, CNN, some of the big news channels. Then Al Jazeera came in the Middle East after the Gulf War. Which media the younger generation now trust as being impartial and fair? Not many. So,
and that's why we result on things on Twitter and Instagram.
And then you're following
TikTok.
YouTubers, you're following these Andrew Tates and the others people of this world, and
this is a big problem, because I was speaking to my obviously my local. I live in an area in Sheffield near Meadowhall, and our local mosque, the imam, I spoke to him after Jummah one time, and he said to me, "What do you do for your studies? Are you learning about Islam, things like that?" And I said, "I'm on a course, micro madrasa. I go once a week." And he just chuckled. He laughed. He said, "You youngsters," he goes, "mashallah, it's good, but these days," he goes, "people like you," he goes, "I'm not saying you, but people like you will go to madrasa one day a week, and before you know it, they'll start making videos like I'm doing now, and then they'll start giving advice to people. Not that I'm giving advice, but there are people out there who give advice and say
Islamic matters.
And
you've got to be very careful.
These things are very delicate, and that's what he said to me. He said the fiqh books and the jurisprudence books he goes through are the classical books, like the books that people like me won't understand a sentence of them.
Of course,
Like the layman person won't understand. And there's people going through basic kind of courses. Not to say micro madrasa is basic, is very very good. Alhamdulillah, it's very good. But there's a level to it.
Yeah, everybody's a mufti now. Everybody gives fatwa.
This is the problem,
and especially the youngsters. You need to be very careful on Islamic talks. We did in like maybe in the month of Ramadan, but even then we have to be very careful. I never touched that subject, because you got to be very very careful when you're talking about Islam. And a lot of people come on YouTube and they're giving and knowledge is learnt at the feet of scholars,
100%,
and from authentic people. If you have youngsters just reading and googling stuff and picking up stuff, there's so much misconceptions there will be stuff there that in fact could even mislead you. So even Islam tells us that do not go too deep into this deen, it will overwhelm you. Do what you're capable of. If you guys are doing podcasts and you're talking about Islamic matters, stick to the basics and leave it to the scholars, 100%. Because they're the inheritors of the prophets.
And one person in particular, you told me from a young age, Sheikh Hamza Yusuf.
Yeah, mashallah, he's one of the prominent scholars from the West. People agree with him, disagree with him, but when I first really started listening to scholars, he was one person that impacted me. A cousin of my brother Abdul Qadir gave me one of his videos and I watched it. I still remember it was called Be Great People, and when I watched it I was quite fascinated. I said, this is traditional Islam that I've not heard from many people. Any scholar that divided Muslims or attacked other Muslims despite our differences, it never ever appealed to me. Because it's just not right. Because yes, you can have different opinions. Yes, there's different schools of thought, everything. But when you cause division and hatred between Muslims and even against anybody else, Islam is not like that. Islam is a beautiful way of living. It's a beautiful faith. And if anything you say, Islam can't be aggressive. It needs to be, it's so positive. It's always been positive. But when you start just blaming, and the countless debates, the time wasted by people on, debating on trivial matters. But there's bigger issues in the communities. There's bigger issues in our homes. There's in the wider community, in the masajids, everywhere. But we don't talk about their taboo subjects. We put them under the carpet. But we talk about trivial issues like, you need to hold your hands like this. About the Eid, for example, the moon wars. Every year there's a moon war. Then we start debating it. You've done Eid wrong. You've done Eid wrong.
Yeah.
And as soon as Eid is finished, they say we need to sort this out. Eid is finished. Everybody forgets about it. But you know what? Whichever day you do Eid, let people celebrate. Some people do it by the direct sighting of the moon. Others follow. Like from here, nearest country is Morocco or South Africa. They've been following. Others follow Saudi. Let it be now, because there's bigger issues facing the Ummah, our children, our future generations. They're in crime, they're doing things that they shouldn't be doing. Alhamdulillah, there's a lot of good children here, especially living in the West. Despite that, they're on the deen more than in the Muslim world, much more in countries like Pakistan or other countries, Turkey, wherever. The biggest thing we can do is call for unity. Any scholar, I've always said, any person that divides the Muslims or is just there to cause fitna in the Muslims, stay away from them. I would never go. I've always told that when you were younger.
Yeah.
I said, stay away from the people who cause division in the Muslims, because this is not our way. And even the Quran says, hold on to the rope of Allah and do not be divided amongst yourselves. YouTube these days as well, on channels, scholars arguing, fighting, and one group supporting one group, and then they're so proud of it. There's nothing to be proud of.
Look at Palestine, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
There's
Palestine
big things.
Your biggest example, yeah.
That's something I saw actually online as well, where I think there has, at this time with the Palestine issue, I think there has been a bit of a unity.
Yeah.
I've seen a positive change. I think you might have noticed it, where people of different groups and thoughts and that kind of stuff, they're not really discussing creedal matters anymore. They're actually all talking against the oppression going on in Palestine, which is obviously a sign of positive things. But how long will it be before we forget all that and then go back to our petty ways?
That's right. Yeah, the Palestine issue is an ongoing issue for a very long time, and it needs to be solved. It needs to be a two-state solution, or whichever way the people of that region, the Palestinians and then the Israelis, and all of them sit together, need to sort it out, because this cannot continue. Wars that start from one incident and then escalate to such incidents where little children are being killed, and it's just devastating to watch. I mean, you cannot watch some of the video, the footage. A lot of people say they just don't watch these videos, and the rest of the world, in particular the Muslim world, the Arab nations around there, and then the wider world, and then the United Nations. These organizations were made to bring peace to the world after World War I and II. Where is the peace? Where are the peacemakers? It's quite sad to see that those that can bring peace are not bringing peace to the world, yet they claim to be the peacemakers. But may Allah give hidayah to all of them,
Ameen.
And especially to the Muslim leaders as well, that they find a just solution to end the plight, the struggle for the Palestinian people.
People say that the Arab leaders and the Muslim leaders have gone quiet. Is there a reason behind that? What is it?
It's not just the Arab leaders. I think it's a complete failure of the Muslim world. They made the organization OIC, which was one of the brainchilds of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, the late Prime Minister of Pakistan. And then he called one of the first meetings in 1972, I think it was, in Pakistan, Lahore, when he called the whole of the Muslim world to make an organization to be the voice of the Muslim world.
Well, that started in Pakistan?
Yeah, well, I think it was in Saudi, and then I think the first major meeting was in Pakistan. Yeah, he was one of the main people, and King Faisal of Saudi Arabia, Colonel Gaddafi of Libya. These people came together. They brought the whole Muslim world into Lahore. I still remember in Badshah Masjid. And but it just became a toothless tiger, really. There was nothing. It just
so this event actually happened?
Yeah, it happened. But
they came and
the organization still exists.
Wow.
It's called the OIC, Organization in Islamic Countries. Yeah, and but it's just toothless, And recently, they tried to revive it or make a counter organization by Imran Khan and Mahathir Mohamad's idea from Malaysia and Turkey, but the Saudis and others were not happy with it, so they disbanded that. The Muslim world needs to organize its own self. You can't stop blaming others, and the Palestinian issue can be solved if the Muslims speak from one page and maybe do some embargoes. They've got the oil, they've got the resources, but despite that, they don't use them. So a lot of the Muslim leaders are really just trying to save their own seats and their own kingdoms and their own democracy, so-called democracies. There's no real democracy anywhere at the moment in the whole world, really.
Going on to democracy, is there any state in the world that run things properly for their people?
Some of the Scandinavian countries are quite good. Norway, the best living the standards they say is probably in Norway. Some of these countries in that part of the Scandinavian areas, they're quite good. I mean, the Western world's democracy is better than the Muslim world. We don't really have... some countries say they've got democracy, they haven't. Others are kingdoms where virtually they're police states, most of them. So, you know, there's no freedom of speech. But the Western world's, the way they were maybe 10, 20 years ago on democratic norms, that's falling apart as well now. You can see that here as well. That, you know, is there freedom of speech in the West? Not as it used to be. Can you say anything you want to say? Not really. There's a lot of clampdown on what you can say, what you can't say. Depends who's in power and depends who's running the show. Some countries you can criticize Russia going into Ukraine, but the same people are silent on what's happening in Gaza.
Exactly.
So, you know, the hypocrisy, the double standards, that's the problem. And social media has exposed that blatantly and openly. You cannot hide things. Okay, social media, there's a lot of stuff there that's fake. There's a lot of stuff that's exaggerated. But the truth is coming out now, and people have got this mic, this cameras, and they can, okay, some of the facts might not be right, but people have got the voices now, and they're moving. That's like I said to you from the beginning, that social media is the power base now, not mainstream media. To get views, or you can become controversial, you can use all the language you want, but really long term, you'll be the loser, because eventually people are very, very shrewd now. People will cut you out. You can't. There's a saying, you can fool some of the people some of the time, most of the people most of the time, but not all of the people all of the time.
Right, moving on from social media, Imran Khan. My dad is an avid supporter of Imran Khan, so am I. Our whole family really is. Most are Pakistanis, we can say that confidently. Tell us a bit about your first interaction, because I'm sure you met him. He'll go into it. I'm sure he met him when he was young, and talk about how you got into politics and how you started following his PTI.
Imran Khan, we met him years ago when I worked in the BBC. He came to Sheffield here. I remember, I think it was Firth Park School he came, and I was with Mushtaq Tafal Sahab. He interviewed him, and we picked him up from the railway station. But
you picked him up?
We went to take him to the Firth Park Academy, I think. Well, Firth Park School on El Marshall Road. I'm sure he was there. Imran Khan, I got into politics, I'll be honest with you, more than PTI. I was very fascinated by the Khilafat of Umar ibn al-Khattab. I used to read about their life story, their biography, and I read it about their life and about how they, enhanced the Muslim world and they expanded the Muslim empire. So they inspired me in how they were so just. So, and Imran Khan, one thing I liked about him, that, initially when he came into politics, he was coming on TV shows and talking about the poverty, the common man, the problems Pakistan faces. So, that attracted me, talking a lot of facts, figures. We grew up watching him cricket. We knew he's a brave guy. We knew he always fought for Pakistan. He always brought honor and dignity to Pakistan. His party at the moment is going through a tough time. He's in prison more than 100 days. People said he wouldn't last a day in prison, but because he lived a very luxury life, went to Etchison College, lived a very privileged life from one of the, from a lead class kind of background, played cricket 18 years in this country.
Oxford graduate.
Oxford graduate. Because leaders are born in crisis. Leaders are always born in crisis, not in the good times. Everybody's a leader in the good times. So when the crisis came, people disappeared. So, but inshallah, I've still got good hopes for Pakistan. Do free and fair election. Whoever wins, let them run the country for 5 years. Pakistan has huge potential. Definitely. Not just for the resources it's got, but tourism alone, Pakistan could earn billions. Turkey alone earns $40 billion a year from tourism. I mean, Pakistan could at least touch 10 to 15 billion. No Pakistani prime minister in the history of Pakistan in 75 years has completed a 5-year term. I mean, seriously.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, that's a fact. You can fact check that. Even So
you're saying in the 75 years of us being a country? Has it been 75 years of Pakistan?
I think 76 years now, isn't it?
Okay, and every Prime Minister has a 5-year term. And no one's completed.
Not completed. 4 years, 3 years, 2 years. So, I mean, this is not how you move. And then you've got India next door. They've never had that problem. Their Prime Ministers complete their terms. Bangladesh is doing well as well. But Pakistan is just going around in this vicious circle. That needs to stop. The thing with Pakistan, what we have to understand is there's a lot of international lobbies at work to make sure Pakistan stays destabilized. That Pakistan never stabilizes, because if Pakistan stabilizes, it's a nuclear state. It could be if the economy improves, Pakistan could be very, very powerful country and a very big decision maker in the affairs of the world.
Moving on, speaking of Pakistan,
Yeah.
When I was, how old? 2005 this was. So I was about 9 years old.
Yeah, 9 years old.
We actually moved to Pakistan for a year. Was it a year the first time?
No, 3 years nearly.
In total, but the first time we went for like what?
Nearly 2.5 years.
Okay, we went for 2.5 years. I don't remember that, but I was about 9, 10. We actually moved to Pakistan from Sheffield. We brought up in Sheffield. We're Yorkshire people. We moved to Pakistan. How old were you when we went?
35.
So my dad was 35. So I'm 27. So so I'm 7 years away from that age. Well, 8 years. What made you move to Pakistan? Obviously, it wasn't only us. My immediate family and my uncles and all their family.
Yeah, 4 families moved.
4 families in total. So quite a lot of big bunch of us moved to Pakistan when I was about 10, basically.
Yeah, it was just because I worked in the education department. I was watching how the system is here, and I was always wanted that you know, there was a kind of a dream in my heart to live in Pakistan, take you guys to school there, so you can learn the language, Urdu language, and your own culture, identity. I think it's very important. So we went there, stayed about 3 years. Maybe we didn't plan it properly. We could have done better, and came back. But it was a great experience because. You know, that guy's the love of Pakistan still lives with you,
100%.
youngsters, and it was a great experience. So you know, it was something we tried, and it didn't work out how we planned. But Allah is the best of planners, so everything happens for a reason.
No, but I can tell you, straight up, going to Pakistan for me at that age was the best thing you ever did for us, honestly.
Yeah.
And even going to them schools. That whole education system, it was like a culture shock for us. We're just British kids, and then before you know it, I'm sat in a class in Pakistan.
Yeah.
The teacher would walk in the class, and all the students would rise for the teacher.
Yeah.
And they won't even sit until the teacher gives permission. And the contrast between that
it's
culture,
a different vibe.
I mean, the discipline it taught, even the actual education, like the maths. I was so good at maths because the way they teach maths and the way they have a whole different tradition in teaching. They're kind of more revision and make you stick in your head.
Yeah.
And the UK is a bit of a different
great.
vibe.
It was good family life, you know, because you drop kids off at school, then the alim used to come and teach you Quran, and then you have family time in the evening. You can sit
in the park,
and
Maghrib azan would go off. We'd go to the mosque.
Go to the masjid, and then you go to the village, meet your cousins. So it was a good, you know, good experience of life.
Honestly,
I don't regret it at all.
No, honestly, we absolutely loved it, and even that contrast in Pakistan. We was in Barrier Town, Safari Villa 1 with my dad. I don't know how he discovered that area. It was a fantastic childhood.
It was a new society that time.
It was beautiful,
but it was a beautiful place to live. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, so we used to travel from Safari Villa, Barrier Town, Islamabad kind of area to the village. So it was, even in Pakistan we had such a contrast, and it was
different lives, you know.
Such a great, and our village in specific is a very mountainous region. It's a beautiful village.
Yeah.
What I really want to know is, at that age, what triggered you? How long did it take? How long were you thinking about moving to Pakistan?
A couple of years before that, you know.
And was it you and Uncle
your uncle and my elder brother, and we just used to talk about it. We used to think, you know, it'll be good for the kids. Just give them a bit of our own culture and identity. That's what made us move. You know, we thought it'll be good for them to learn the language, the culture. And I mean, it was a good experience, like you're saying. You know, so it's lived with you.
No, 100%.
I wish I could have stayed. I'll be honest with you. I mean, if we planned it a lot better, I would have probably never returned. The Western world is where we grew up in the 70s and 80s and 90s was different. Now, the stress levels in the West, the lifestyle, the work-life balance, everything. You talk to people now say, oh, the UK is finished. The UK, you know, life is very tough, and now the cost of living is just gone crazy. Younger people can't buy homes. Even if they have a house, you imagine having a mortgage, you imagine having other finances, and even if you're on a decent wage, you're going to struggle. You know, you have to work, your wife has to work. You know, it's just becoming very difficult. But that's the thing it didn't appeal to me, because, you know, the East still hold on to its values, their culture, their identity. The West has kind of lost that.
Yeah.
And if you...
No, I agree with that. Because when I speak to people from the West, who are English people, British people, even they are fed up with the way the country is just changing.
Well,
and
people,
you can't say anything
it's their
anymore.
country. The UK is their country. They're born and bred here. For example, I came here, but English people born and bred in Sheffield say, they want to move to Dubai and Qatar and even Saudi Arabia. I've
got friends who I've got on like Twitter and Facebook who I used to go to school with. Obviously they're all my age, so we're quite old now. I'm 27. I'm obviously an adult now. A lot of them have moved to Dubai. I've got a friend who lives in Dubai. A white Englishman.
Yeah.
He lives in Dubai.
Yeah, Middle East.
They're all
People are learning Mandarin, moving to China.
Yeah.
The world is now, they're saying it's a global thing. Yeah, it's everything's so fast and furious. People are moving now to make their lives. They want to work. You can work from home as well now, but they want to balance where they got nice weather.
It's a lifestyle. Yeah.
The weather here is crap. It gets dark at 4 o'clock, like
Can you imagine?
now in the winter. But when you're young, you don't realize. But when you get to my age,
No, it's true.
trust me, it
Even at my
you.
age, honestly, when you in your 20s, I think 20s is a very very weird age. You start to recognize who you are, and seriously, and especially this time of the month, you wake up in the dark. You go to work, and when you get home, it's pitch black.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and
you don't see daylight.
The youngsters nowadays, I realize, they're into these gang cultures and crime, and when they realize they haven't got a good education, if they haven't got a good job, then they start turning to easy money. So that's a big thing now, and you meet people from London, and they're all moving from some of these big cities to places like Sheffield and others, because they're saying it's very difficult to bring up kids in these societies.
Right, talk to me about your activist days in the 80s or 90s?
80s, yeah.
So obviously you guys don't know, it's my first time I've got my dad on the show. He used to do a lot of frontline activism for racism. Obviously racism was probably booming back then, obviously before I was born.
Yeah, racism always will be there. It was there. It's worse now in some ways. People sitting behind keyboard and can say anything. The 80s in particular, the National Front was very rife, a racist organization, and then we were with the part of the youth work we did, Asian Youth Movement, we were part of that, and then a few friends of mine, and then mashallah, we used to go on marches then, and then always against racism. We speak up in forums, and we ran a youth club together as youngsters. We helped set it up, and then we ran it voluntary for nearly a decade, and a lot of the youngsters from Sharrow, Nether Edge, these areas used to come there. They've all grown up now, but their parents trusted us, so we used to have Eid parties, we used to take them for trips, but they had snooker table, pool table, 92 World Cup, we all watched it there when Pakistan won. So we used to stay in there in the evening, and all the elder lot used to come in the evening, the younger lot in the after school, but the parents were happy because they were safe there. It was a safe environment, and so
Sharrow Lane,
just behind the Mount Pleasant building. That's where it was a purpose-built kind of thing, but they've all disappeared now. They've knocked them all down, but we were united. That was the key. We didn't pull each other's legs. We backed each other. That's the difference.
I think that's the difference between generations. I think in your time there was a lot of love and loyalty. Yeah. And now you feel like it's just a dog eat dog world now. Like everyone's in it for themselves, and you can see that not even mentally, but even physically. If you go to London, people over there are just so tunnel vision into succeeding. They don't even look at you. They walk into you.
Well, you guys talk about the Matrix.
The Matrix.
You need to tell me about this Matrix.
So the Matrix.
I just know the film Matrix. I don't know why every time you guys are here talking about the Matrix.
The Matrix is basically the system that we're enslaved in. We're trapped in. Yeah. Every society needs a train driver. Yeah. Every society needs a bus driver. Every society needs the guys on the roads, buildings and things like that. But the actual real businessmen, entrepreneurs, they are made with deep thinking. But you can't think when you're at work. Yeah, that's why there's a system. Think about it. Some jobs are like 12-hour shifts, 8-hour shifts, 9-hour shifts. You don't need to be at work that long. I've been to work and times where the work required is honestly, if you put your head down, you can get work done in 3 hours. Yeah. So why don't you just sit at a desk for 12 hours?
Yeah. In some countries,
they just trap you. They want
some countries, I don't know if it's Denmark or I can't remember which countries are already doing 4-hour weeks now.
Exactly.
And they're letting people have 3 days off because you can't even recover. People are so tired.
Yep.
Because the weather is a factor, and then you got the lifestyle, and then they want people to go to the gym. They want people to have family time. How can you have family time?
Yeah.
People, mothers with little children have to drop them off in nurseries 6 o'clock in the morning, pick them up at 6 o'clock. How is that healthy?
No.
And our generation's mothers, majority were housewives. They never worked. Our dads didn't make that kind of money that people make now, but we survived. We were happy. Now everybody's working in the family that people are still struggling. Why? Because expenditure has gone high, and our aspirations have gone too high as well. We want the best car, we want the best house, we want.
But everything. Then again, that's social media. Again, you go on social media,
you see people living a very luxury life.
You'll see people living a crazy life, and then they'll kind of sell a dream to you. You can make this much in a month, and you can do this.
Yeah, you can, but are they happy? Because you only see them for 30 seconds. Behind that smile, there could be a lot of problems for people. So really, we live in a. Yeah, no doubt we live in a very, very strange world now. This is why, People are looking for calm. They go into places where they want to sit in the mountains, maybe in seclusion. Because
so
and even the Prophet ﷺ said at the end of times, people will want to run to the mountains, go towards the mountains. Why did they say that? Because that time is now.
Yeah.
Because in the cities, it's just too fast paced. We don't switch off.
Talk to me about Hajj. When did you go Hajj? You've been Hajj twice.
Hajj twice, 1999 and 2004.
What was it like?
Alhamdulillah, that's the best journey of your life. First time when I was only 30, and I went all of a sudden. Decision was made like this, just on the spur, and it was absolutely phenomenal journey. Hajj journey is one journey. Any person who's been to Hajj, you ask them, they will not be able to describe it. It's your personal journey. It's you and that 5 days of going to Mina, and then to Arafat, and then to Muzdalifah, then they're doing the Jamarat, then they're doing the Tawaf Ziyarat, and Ihram and everything, Talbiyah. It's very powerful. You become a Bedouin. You become and everyone, rich, poor, everybody's got Ihram on. You don't know who's a millionaire.
So that was a fantastic little introduction with my dad.
I enjoyed that. Not bad.
Just before you go, quick fire round. Yeah.
Go on then.
Just this is going to be a little round where it says this or that, basically.
Okay.
So, pasta or pizza?
Pizza.
Ketchup or mayo?
Both.
Train or plane? As in, travelling on a train or a plane?
Travelled more on planes. I've hardly ever travelled on a train, but I prefer a train. I don't like planes that much now.
Okay. The city or the countryside?
Countryside.
Books or movies?
Books.
In fact, tell me about a good book that you read. Any good books, suggestions, anything before we go?
So many. The Martyrdom of Hussein.
The Martyrdom of Hussein.
I don't know. That was a powerful book.
Really? Okay. Who's your hero?
Nelson Mandela.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, what's your biggest strength?
Tolerating people I shouldn't be tolerating.
Ooh, that's a deep one, that. Biggest weakness?
Too trusting.
Okay. Best compliment you've ever received?
That you're a good radio host.
Good radio host. Favourite board game?
Monopoly.
Right. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
That's been very good. That was episode 1 of our... what should we call it? Our Dad-Son series? I don't know. What should we give it a name?
Yeah.
Give us a name in the comments. Inshallah, you guys enjoyed that. Hope you guys can share the video, like.
Just call it Abu and me.
Abu and me, no, that's a bit. No.
But we'll do more topics.
Let's see if the people like it anyway. Obviously, my dad's going to share it hopefully with his people.
Yeah.
I'll share it with my people, and hopefully you guys who have subscribed recently enjoy this episode. Just an introduction with my dad. Inshallah, I want to get into more topics. My dad's got quite a lot of knowledge in that head.
Inshallah,
Inshallah. This is just like a little opener to basically test the waters. So yeah, thank you very much. Can you sign out for me? Tell them to subscribe to the Mountain Path podcast.
Yeah, can you all subscribe to the Mountain Path podcast?
Yeah.
By Hamza, mashallah, and keep us in your du'as.
Respect.